Om. Yom taf parishyamo vacham mam prasuptam sanjeevayatyakhilashaktiधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् किं गुरुं हि स्वयं सत्यः प्रज्ञा भक्तिविनीतयः दीप्तिश्चापि वृता नित्यं तं गुरुं प्रणमाम्यहम् सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। 26 huh? 31 okay. गूढोत्मा भुवनेश्वयं न सकलैः ज्ञेयो वृतो मायया बुद्ध्या सूक्ष्मिकया पुनरयं सूक्ष्मेक्षणैर्दृश्यते। विद्वान् हृद्युपसंहरेद्गिरमिदं चित्तं च बुद्धौ महत्येनाम् तं च महान्तमान्तरतमे शान्ते प्रतीच्यात्मनि। यज्ञानं बत दुर्गमं सुनिशिता शस्त्रस्य धारा यथा शब्दस्पर्शमरोपमव्ययमजं नित्यं ध्रुवं चासम् निर्गन्धं यदनन्तमेत्य पुरुषः मृत्योर्मुखान्मुच्यते। विद्या सुप्तित आशुजावृतनराः प्राप्तुमाचार्यिणः। श्रोत्रादीन्द्रियसञ्चयं स भगवान् शब्दादिबाह्यार्थकं चक्रे यत्तदसोपमान् बहिरिमान् भुङ्क्ते स्वकैरिन्द्रियैः। धीरः कोऽपि यतेन्द्रियोऽनुभवति स्वं प्रत्यगात्मानमत्राप्तुं मोक्षमुशन्न धीरहृदयः कामी तु मृत्योर्वशः। लोको येन समीक्षते ध्वनिरसस्पर्शांश्च दुःखं सुखं रूपं गन्धगुणं च जाग्रति तथा स्वप्ने सुषुप्तावपि। अज्ञानं हृदयेन्द्रियाद्यविदितं यस्यास्ति नो किञ्चन ज्ञात्वा स्यात्ममहेश्वरं मधुभुजं धीरो न शोचत्यमुम्। अभ्यो यः प्रथमं महानुदभवत् सर्वेश्वरात् ब्रह्मणः भूतैः साकमिह प्रवेश्य हृदयाकाशं च यस्तिष्ठति। यः प्राणोदिति नामकोऽर्थगिलनात् यः सर्वदेवात्मकः सर्वात्मानममं तमेति पुरुषः यो ब्रह्म जानाति सः. So we were looking at the commentary of verse 35 and we are almost towards the end of it. Yesterday we were discussing about the term Hiranyagarbha, so what it connotes, etc. in the previous class. So there are a couple of typos which I should have mentioned in the previous class. I think I left out. So if you look at the end of page 32, the para which we read, Nacha pratyagatma ajatvat paramatmaiva prathamajatvat hiranyagarbho na pratyagatmeti vachyam. So here that danda should be removed. Nacha vachyam should be one thing. न च प्रत्यगात्मा अजत्वात् परमात्मैव प्रथमजत्वात् हिरण्यगर्भो न प्रत्यगात्मेति वाच्यम्. So that danda has to go. Then hiranyagarbhasyaप्यौपाधिकत्वात्, it should not be O, it should be औपाधिकत्वात्. This correction was mentioned. औपाधिकमेव जन्म न स्वाभाविकम् स्वतः तस्यापि परमात्मत्वेन अजत्वात्. Then in the next vakya again danda has to go. Tasmat eka eva pratyagatma. Then it is a continuous sentence. Eka eva pratyagatma linga samashtipātina hiranyagarbha iti. There you can put a comma if you want. Then लिंग व्यष्ट्युपाधिभिः इंद्रश्चंद्रः इत्यादि शब्दैश्च व्यवह्रियते. Okay, so this is how the text has to be corrected. Okay, so that is done. Now we are supposed to start from the next para. न च परमात्मन एवायं व्यवहारः इति वाच्यम्. So let me very briefly tell you the discussion that is going on. So we are basically talking about how we need to understand this mantra which says Hiranyagarbha Sarvatma, and how do we connect it to the question that was posed which was connected with Pratyagatma. So here the discussion is being taken by trying to establish the equivalence of the term Pratyagatma, Hiranyagarbha, Paramatma. So this is what is being attempted. Okay, so we have to keep in mind. So Hiranyagarbha we defined as Samashthyupadhi. So that is what we were trying to explain in the previous class. Now, nacha paramatmanaha evayam vyavaharaha iti vachyam. So this ayam vyavaharaha means what vyavahara? This ayam should refer to what was explained in the previous sentence. Ayam vyavaharaha means, see, linga samashthyupadhina hiranyagarbha iti, linga vyashtyupadhibhihi indraschandra ityadi, ayam vyavaharaha Paramatmanaha eva iti na vachyam. So the question is, after all you say, it is the Brahman which got manifest into various forms. So whether it is Indra Chandra or you describe as Hiranyagarbha, it is after all only Paramatma's manifestation, that primordial entity which we refer to as Paramatma or Brahman. It is a manifestation of that only. Why connect Pratyagatma with that? That is the objection. Nacha Paramatmanaha eva ayam vyavaharaha. Ayam vyavaharaha iti tu loke ayam Krishnaha, ayam Ramaha, ayam Sri Ramaha, esha Jun ityadi vyavaharaha. Te sarve Paramatmanaha eva vyavaharaha. So because of this upadhi, you have given some name. So it is only Paramatma which is described. What has it got to do with Pratyagatma? Nacha Paramatmanaha evayam vyavaharaha iti vachyam. So now he says, Pratyagatmanaha eva paramatmatvat. Pratyagatmanaha eva paramatmatvat. So this Pratyagatma, Aham Pratyaya Vishayaha, the one who is the locus of this notion I, is none other than Paramatma only. And therefore, there is no Ananurupata in the question and answer. he is explaining this in greater detail. This has to be little carefully understood. See, what he is trying to say is Pratyagatmanaha eva paramatmatvat is the Vakya which he is explaining in the next couple of sentences. How do we understand the term Pratyagatma and Paramatma? He is trying to explain that little bit. Pratyaktvam hi Purnatvam Sarvantaratvam. There you have to put a danda. Okay, there is no need to continue. Understand? Pratyaktvam hi Purnatvam Sarvantaratvam. So this has to be understood first. See, this Pratyaktvam is, how do we understand this as Purnatvam and Sarvantaratvam? There are two aspects that he is trying to convey through the word Pratyaktvam. Sarvantaratvam is far more easier to understand. Why? Because this Pratyaganubhava, this is there in every individual. Right? The Chaitanya which dwells in every individual is what is referred to by the notion I, connected with other things. So therefore Sarvantaratvam is there. So even if you touch a leaf, some leaves, don't touch me. You say, touch me not. Understand? So there is a pratyaya which is there. So in everything, at various levels, you can explain that. Okay, Sarvantaratvam is fine. But Purnatvam, how do we understand? Purnatvam. So for understanding this Purnatvam, we should actually look it from the viewpoint of Asya Jnana Vishayatvam. How do we get the word Pratyak itself? In one of the classes I was trying to explain. See, Prati Anchatiti Pratyak, right? Prati Anchatiti Pratyak. Anchati means Gachati. Prati. Okay, so there are Prati is Pratipam Anchati is one way of understanding the term. The other way of understanding is Prati is towards. Phalam Prati Tadyatha. Prati. So Prati means towards. So Prati Anchati, suppose you say, see, it goes towards Abhimukhyena Anchati. Kutra Abhimukhyena Anchati? Sarvapadarthabhimukhyena Gachati. That's how we had even this, no? Paranchikhani Vyatrinat Swayambhu Tasmat Parang Pashyadinantaratman. So this Chaitanya is able to comprehend everything around. It either comprehends as known or comprehends as unknown, but it is comprehending everything. So therefore, Yadyapi Swarupataha na Anchati Athapi Swajnanena Sarvan Padarthan Anchati. So that is how we have to understand this Purnatva. So Prati Anchati. So Pratyang. So Pratyagatma. So Prati means all Padarthas. Okay. So all Padarthas is good. So this is how we have to understand the word Purnatvam here. Pratyagatmatvam. So Yadyapi. So Upadhina ayam na vyapnoti. Parantu Jnanena vyapnoti. So therefore, this Pratyaktvam che Purnatvam Sarvantaratvam Tadubhayam. Now he says, Tadubhayam Paramatmani Asti. Understand? So the primordial entity Brahma, see, Purnamadah Purnamidam. So that there is no problem. In understanding Purnatvam and Sarvantaratvam, Paramatmani, there is no issue. So Pratyagatmani, there was an issue. So we just resolved that now. Now he says, Paramatvam hi. What do you understand by the word Parama? So Paramatvam hi Dehadi Vilakshanatvam Sukshmatvam Mahatvancha. The word Parama means something which transcends. This is superior. Okay? So Dehadi Vilakshanam. So you can understand by the word Parama. Paramatvam hi Dehadi Vilakshanatvam. Then Sukshmatvam. It is very subtle, then also you call it as Paramaha. Okay. Then Mahatvam. There also you use the word Parama. Okay. Something which is all pervasive. So something which is extremely subtle. So something which transcends this mind body sense complex. All of them are referred to by the word Parama. Okay. So Paramatvam hi Dehadi Vilakshanatvam Sukshmatvam Mahatvancha Tatsarvam Pratyagatmanyastiti. So this Pratyagatma, how do you understand this Pratyagatma? It is Aham Pratyaya Vishaya. Is he Shariradi Vilakshana or not? Right? This notion of I, can it be completely tagged with Sharira? Because Sharira is changing. Therefore, Dehadi Vilakshana. Dehadi Vilakshanatvam Pratyagatmani Vartate. So then, Sukshmatvam, we are referring to some entity. It is so subtle. Therefore, Sukshmatvam api asti Pratyagatmani. So, Mahatvam. So, this Mahatvam, if you tag it with the Sharira, then it is Parichinna. Otherwise, it is Maha. Okay. So, therefore, he is saying, Tat Sarvam Pratyagatmanyastiti Namamatra Bhedaha. So, Namamatra Bhedaha Eva Ghatakumbhavat. Ghatakumbhavat. This you have to understand. What is Ghata? What is Kumbha? Both are same, right? Now I will tell you, this is something which you have to understand. This is something very interesting. I was just thinking about this Ghatakumbhavat. See, for various shabdas in Sanskrit, you try to find how this word got into the usage. Right? You may have the same word, but this is called pravritti nimitta. This is called as shabda pravritti nimitta. Suppose you have a student who stays with you. See, like the Shishyas in the Gurukula. So my grandfather, so he used to take the Shishyas with him wherever he goes. Every 2-3 months he will go to different villages. So the Shishyas can be described as Antevasi. Okay? Ante means Samipe. Samipe vasati di Antevasi. Okay? So now there are a few Shishyas here. See, for instance, Ragavan is there, Swati is there. They are sitting in some other Copenhagen. Now they cannot be called as Antevasi, but they are Shishyas. There is no problem. Understand? The Shabda Pravritti Nimitta, so Aradhana is sitting in Bengaluru. Antevasati, that is not going to work. Okay? So the word has its origin. Okay? So based on what it tries to describe, it may be describing the same person. This is what is known as Shabda Pravritti Nimitta. Similarly, when you look at Ghata Kumbha, they may be referring to one and the same entity. But this word Ghata comes from Ghatanam. Ghata Dhatu. Ghatate, Ghatati, both are used. Okay. In fact, there is an interesting verse. Ghatati ti ghato jneyaha. Repeat.
Ghatati ti ghato jneyaha. Ghatati ti ghato jneyaha.
Na ghatan ghatatam yat. Na ghatan ghatatam yat. Na ghatan ghatatamiat miyat. Okay, I'll tell you. Very simple. Ghatati means, so it's normally we use even in Sanskrit. See, putting together, right? Ayam asmin karye ghatayitum yogyaha. Suppose you say. See? So this person is worthy of being associated with this activity. You can engage him in this. Ghatayitum yogyaha, you will say. So yojayitum yogyaha, that is the sense in which the word ghata is used. So this vakya is presenting, see, ghatati iti ghato jneyaha na ghatam ghatata miyat. Suppose you have a pot. See, we always imagine mrit ghata. Suppose the pot is broken. Will you describe it as a pot anymore? It is only some shakalas, right? So this is mrit shakala. You cannot be describing it as pot. Why? Because I am karmani ghatayitum na yogya. Understand? So this ghata you can either use for fetching something, water, or fetching something else. So in this activity it cannot be associated. That is what he is trying to say. Ghatati iti ghato jneyaha. Okay. Na ghatan ghatatam iyat. It cannot be described as ghata. Ghatatam na iyat. Ghatati iti ghato jneyaha na ghatam ghatatam iyat. In fact, there is another interesting usage of this ghata shabda. I'll tell you. Okay, I will come back to that ghata. This kumbha shabda, how is it used? Here you see, ghata kumbhavat, he is saying. See, sometimes we use the word kumbhidhanaha. You heard that? So those who live with very little grains, they choose to live that lifestyle. Okay? Kumbhidhanaha is the description of those people. This kumbhidhana, kumbha basically refers to a certain measure. If you look at the text, so there is a certain unit of measurement which is referred to as kumbha. So there is a certain unit which is called drona. Okay? I'll just give you the verse. Dashadrono bhavet khari. Dashadrono bhavet khari. Dashadrono bhavet khari. Kumbhastu drona vimshatihi. Kumbhastu drona vimshatihi. Kumbhastu drona vimshatihi. Clear? So, Dashadrono bhavet khari. Khari is a certain unit which has Dashadrona. Kumbhastu drona vimshatihi. Now, if you look at these two words, so this kumbha which has a certain measure, the connotation is a measure. So, you may be engaging that particular vessel for measuring something. So this refers to a certain measure. So it can be in that form and it is used in activity also. But the pravritti nimitta for using the word kumbha to refer to that object is parimana. Karye niyojyate iti ghata iti shabdaha. So kriya pravritti nimittattvena ghata iti shabdaha. Parimana pravritti nimittattvena kumbha iti shabdaha. This is how you have to understand. Similarly, in this Vedanta, when we use the word pratyakatma and paramatma, so the pravritti nimitta is different. When you want to indicate with reference to this person, you use the word pratyak. When you want to give the connotation of something else, then it is paramatma. So that is why he is explaining this. See, with the example, ghatakum bhavat. One can also say, shishyante vasivat. So Shabda Pravritti Nimitta is different, but it refers to one and the same entity. So this is what he is trying to explain. See, so now that Aradhana is very keen to learn more verses. So let me give you one verse, one interesting usage of the word ghata. Okay. See, this is a very interesting verse. It conveys some message also. Yadhatra nijabhala pattalikhitam. Yadhatra nijabhala pattalikhitam. Yadhatra nijabhala pattalikhitam. Stokam mahadvadhanam. Stokam mahadvadhanam. Stokam mahadvadhanam. Tatprahapnoti marusthalepi. Tatprapnoti marusthalepi. Tatprapnoti marusthalepi. Nitaram merau tato nadhikam. Nitaram merau tato nadhikam. Nitaram merau tato nadhikam. Tadhiro bhava. Tadhiro bhava. Tadhiro bhava. Vittavatsu kripanam. Vittavatsu kripanam. Vittavatsu kripanam. Vrittim vritha ma kritha. Vrittim vritha ma kritha. Vrittim vritha ma kritha. Kupe pasya. Kupe pasya. Kupe pasya. Payo nidhavapi ghataha. Payo nidhavapi ghataha. Payo nidhavapi ghataha. Grinhati tulyam jalam. Grinhati tulyam jalam. Grinhati tulyam jalam. So this is a very, very important verse which has a profound philosophy. So which needs to be imbibed for one to remain unperturbed. Okay. So he says, Yadhatra nijabhala pattalikhitam. Dhatra means the one who created you. Nijabhala pattalikhitam is a certain phrase. So something is written on my forehead. Tala vidhi, tala ezhidirukku sollu. You understand? This is a phrase which we use in Tamil. So this has been written on my forehead. Nijabhala pattalikhitam. So suppose you go to bathroom every day. One day you go and slip. That is all. Fractured 3 months he has to. So you will just say, Tala mele ezhidirukku. Why should I slip today? Yadhatra nijabhala pattalikhitam. So he is referring to in this verse with reference to the amount of money that one may get. Stokam mahadvadhanam. You are supposed to get some money. Okay, stokam means alpam. Mahat means huge. Stokam mahadvadhanam. Taprahapnoti marusthalepi. Marusthalepi means, so you go somewhere and sit. Tat prapnoti. So he will anyway get. Tat prapnoti marusthalepi. See, even if you are in Marubhumi, Maru means the desert. See, Marumarichika. Marumarichika nyaya. Tat prap miraj. Tatprahapnoti marusthalepi. Nitaram nischayena. Merau tato nadhikam. Meru is a certain phrase which you will find as a golden mountain. You go to the golden mountain. So you thought you may be able to get something, but nothing will come to you. Okay. Nitaram merau tato nadhikam. Okay. Tatprahapnoti marusthalepi. Nitaram merau tato nadhikam. Therefore he is saying, Tadhiro bhava. Vittavatsu kripanam vrittim vritha ma kritha. In those days, The people used to go and see. So for Jivika, something is required. Jivika is something required. Sometimes you may have to exhibit your skills. See, as a poet, then something will be given to you by the king and so on. So here he says, see, don't get disappointed. Tadhiro bhava vittavatsu. Vittavatsu means those who have the power, position and so. Kripanam vrittim vritha ma krithaha. In fact, I have seen here, even in IIT, there will be some promotion. So, assistant registrar to deputy registrar, some promotion will be there. So, there are some people who will come and say, sir, can you please recommend, So, the recommendations of 5, 6 fellows will say. So, and one fellow said once, I'm telling a true story. He was so confident that he will get. But somehow this fellow did not get. And later he met and he told me, sir, for 1.5 years, I tell you, because I did not get, I was in such a depressed state. Who asked you to? Dhiro bhava. If it comes, it is well and good. If it does not come, it's okay. That is what you have to be. Dhiro bhava vittavatsu kripanam vrittim. So don't make yourself a pitiable fellow. Kripanam vrittim vritha ma krithaha. It's a beautiful usage. Kripanam vrittim vritha ma krithaha. Finally he says, so the example that he gives is, Kupe pasya payo nidhavapi. You have a ghata. So let us say it can take 15 liters of water. So whether you dip it in kupa, okay, in your house, or you go and dip it in samudra, it is going to take same amount of water. Understand? Whatever you have carried in your purva janma is what is going to fructify here. In Tamil there is a phrase, Talagalin ennal nadakadu. So even if you walk, putting your head down, or you stand, that I have to get upside down, he is standing. Because of that, nothing is going to happen. So, tadhiro bhava vittavat. See, ghata, see, I was just reminded when I was reading this ghata kumbhavat, so this verse came to my mind. So I thought anyway, see, I'll share, this is a very interesting message. Okay? Vedāntamuktāvalī nijapāla patta likhitam stokam mahadvādhanam tat prapnoti marusthalepi nitaram merau tato nadhikam tadhiro bhava vittavatsu kripanam vrittim vritha ma krithaha kupe pasya payo nidhavapi Ghato grihāti tulyam jalam. Kupe pasya payo nidhavapi. Ghato grihāti tulyam jalam. See, I remember once I was going with some family which is extremely well-to-do family. So I just went to their house. They said that somebody is not keeping well. So we are planning to go to that hospital. Would you also like to join? I said, okay, so let us go. I would also be happy to see this person. So we were getting into the hospital. And this is Apollo Hospital in Chennai. So every place is very neat, tidy, etc. etc. So so there is a small boy who was actually traveling. So parents, that boy and me, 4 of us. So the boy was just climbing the staircase, so holding the rails. Okay. So this elderly person was saying, no, don't touch. If you touch, see, you will get some disease. So he was just saying that. So I was just thinking, so what is this? So just by touching something is not going to happen. So by touching the rails. So why create this kind of a bhiti in this fellow? Understand? So this kind of a bhiti itself will generate something in your mind, so which will pull down the immunity levels. Something is okay, but beyond that, this is all done. So this is what it is. Anyway, Nijabhala Pattalikhitam. So this cannot be changed. This will be a very useful verse when we land into certain situations. Anyway, Ghata Kumbhavat. Ghata Shabdat. See, Ghataha Grinhati. Understand? That word is used in the sense of engaging in some activity. Kriya Pravritti Nimittaha Yam Shabda. Okay. Tasmat Pratyagatma. Now you see. Therefore, he says, Pratyagatma Hiranyagarbharupena Sarvatme Tyuchyate. Hiranyagarbhasya cha Sarvajiva Samashtitvat Sarvatmattvamiti. So finally, he concludes the discussion. So he says, therefore, Pratyagatma Hiranyagarbharupena Sarvatme Tyuchyate. So how do we understand that? So the same individual as the samashti, see, as the samashti jivopadhi, the same individual is referred by the word Hiranyagarbha. Pratyagatma Hiranyagarbharupena sarvatme tyuchyate. And Hiranyagarbhasya cha sarvajiva samashtitvat sarvatmatvam suprasiddham. Okay, so the verse was basically saying, so Hiranyagarbha is Sarvatma was what was stated. So that is where he commenced this discussion. Hiranyagarbha is Sarvatma when he says, so how does this actually fit in with Pratyagatma Sarvatma? Okay, so this is the question, and that was concluded now. So now we move on to the next verse. The next verse is again the summary of the next two mantras. So I think we will take up the verse in the next class. Okay, so we'll wind up the class here. Om Sarve Pisukhinas Santu, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet.